Okay, gather around.
Gather around, everybody.
So we're gonna lay out this wall right here. The first thing you wanna do when you're laying out a wall is get the plate measurement. So if you look to the front, you'll have all the measurements right here for the whole house, the side, the front. So if you just take the edge here, follow it up to right there, and then this to here, you can see it's 8'9"1/8". So we'll write that down. And then I like to do that, and then I like to write whatever I'm minusing from the wall. So when we build the houses, we always run our side walls always out to the very front of the house. So all the front walls are always inside to inside, and then this will be inside to inside.
So the side walls go all the way out to the outside?
Correct.
And the inside walls go to the inside?
Correct.
Yeah.
Inside to inside of the side walls on
Yeah.
all the fronts.
Exactly.
So what we're minusing is this wall right here only, because it's just gonna run, oh yeah, this 2-foot wall is also gonna run to the back there. So always inside to inside. So we're gonna just minus this wall's width from this wall, and I know that it's a 2x6 wall, and it's sheeted with drywall. So the drywall is 5/8, so it's gonna be 6 1/8 is what I'm taking away with that. So it's 8'9" 1/8 minus 6 1/8. I would always use my calculator. Always, I double check always everything I do, but I know for a fact that it's 8'3". So the plate measurement's 8'3". We can cut that.
Do you take some of it, just a shade smaller?
I take a 1/16 off every time.
So
If it's a little wall like this wall, this is like a 2'5" 5.5" wall. I'll just leave that exactly, because yeah. So you just flush these up here, get it perfect, and then take a 2-inch nail, 2 1/4.
Wane facing each other, wane facing each other?
Always wane together. Okay, that's nice. So I'm gonna go 8'3". 8'3" right there, just minus a 1/16. Perfectly cutting the line in half, the mark you just made. And then I'll double check it again. Yeah, 8'3" and a 1/16, minus a 1/16. Okay, so now we have our plate ready to go. Now we'll look back at our measurements. Now what do we have in this wall? All we have is just a window. There's only a window right there. So what we want to do is find the center of the window. The center of the window is always marked on these plans. So if you go down to here, from the outside of house on the left to the center of window is 3'4". So we're gonna go over here. Now that mark is from the end of house. So what I'm gonna do is hold my tape over. If you remember, the width of that wall was 6 1/8. So I'm gonna hold the tape at 6 1/8 there. And I'm gonna mark 3'4". And I'm gonna put a center mark there, just to see with a line there. So that's my center mark. Now we're gonna go back and see the width, the dimensions of the window. It's 60 inches by 54 1/8. That's width 60 and the height 54 1/8.
So it's always width then height, always.
Correct, always, width, height. So the 60 inches is the width. So we're gonna set our tape to half of that, which is 30. And I'm gonna mark 60 inches. And I'm gonna mark the end of my tape. Okay. Now the next thing we're gonna look at is we put all our bearings here. Oh yeah. So right after I mark that, I'm always gonna double check with the other side. So if you can see, there's two measurements here. There's 3'4" from end of house, and from the inside of this wall, 5'5" 1/8 hooked on. So we can just hook on the end of that wall because the wall goes and it butts in right there. So we don't have to hang it over or anything. We just butt it in. In this case, just hook it on. And we're looking for 5'5" 1/8. That might be a shade less because we did take off a 1/16. So if you can see, we have 5 foot 5 1/8 minus just about exactly a 1/16. So it's good. Okay, now we have the mark for our window. Now we got to know what kind of bearing we want to put into this window. Now we mark on here, if you look over here, this window at the back has 3 inches bearing written on it.
That's 3 inches each side of the window.
3 inches each side. So we write all that down, all the engineering requirements, we write it down before we even start laying out. So there's nothing written here. That means it's just a standard 1.5 inches on each side. So then we'll go here. Now we're going to put the jack stud right there, and then a regular stud beside it. And we'll square it.
One thing that Vestgaard does is we don't use, you know, people sometimes use the other side of their square or use their square to lay out. We use our tape measure. We use our tape measure to measure the cripples, you know, jacks and all of that. We don't do any of that stuff. I mean,
when I get my Martinez square, I'm probably going to use that.
Whatever.
So I just did the same thing over here. This was the edge mark for the window. Now we're going to add a jack stud. This is for the header to sit in. It's going to sit in a pocket right there on the jack stud, and then a regular stud beside it. Okay, that's done. So the window's in. Now what we have to do is I like to just go right here. You see there's an issue right here, not an issue, but we don't have room for another stud here on the end. So we got to fill in this space because you can't have that space on the edge of the wall. So I'll see what it is. It's exactly 3/4 of an inch. So let's go ahead and put 3/4 there.
So just put some 3/4 ply there.
Yeah, 3/4 inch. I'll just put 3/4 there. That's just the flooring we get. Okay, that's good. Now I'll mark for the top plates. So come in over here. Now on the edge here, you can see this wall just goes to the inside, so we're gonna hang the top plate of this front wall over onto the side wall to connect them together. So I'll go over here and I'll just put a line over here and I'll say over 5.5. Now that's for the people building the walls to know that this top plate hangs over 5.5. And then over here, right here, we're gonna also run the top plate over, but I'm gonna run it over the width of this wall, maybe just a hair less. I'm gonna run this over 6 inches. That's for the 1/2 inch plywood and the 2x6. So I'll put a stud mark on the end and I'll say over 6. So we got over 6 here, and then for the guys on the building, this on the edge here, the sheet's gonna run flush. Now the top plate's gonna go over 6 inches,
right?
But the sheet is just gonna go flush into here. So I'll write over 6 there. Just under it, I'll write sheet flush.
Sheet flush.
There you go.
We're just gonna get these guys laid out then.
Okay, now everything's done here. All we have to do is lay out the studs. So I like to lay out the studs in a way that when you put this sheet's gonna hang over. We run our sheets over on the front of the house. We hang them over to cover up that edge of this board on the sidewall.
No Saskatchewan corners.
No Saskatchewan corners.
No Saskatchewan corners.
So we're gonna lay the studs out in a way that the first one hangs over 5.5 inches to cover that and then runs into the wall. So I'll go over here and I'll run my tape over 5.5. And I'll put marks here.
And 16 on center.
16 on center, that's 16 inches minus 3/4, half the width of the board. So I'll do that on here. Sometimes I just like to mark 1 here if it's a smaller wall. And then I'll go in after and I'll put the mark on the other plate with my square. Okay, we got that.
Are you learning anything?
Okay, so now when we put this first sheet on the bottom, this was my 8-foot mark right here. So it's gonna hang over 5.5. It's gonna go from there and it's gonna land perfectly on this stud right here.
Perfectly half and half.
Perfectly half and half on that stud right there. Okay, so the wall is laid out. Now what I do is I label what the builders need to know about the wall. The first is what it's sheeted with. So these is the front of the house and they just require normal OSB 7/16 sheeting. So I'll just write normal OSB. SB. And now I'm gonna mark the bottom of the wall. We're gonna build these and we're gonna stack them in big piles. So when the installers are taking the wall and setting them in, they need to know which one they're picking up. So I'm gonna mark, this unit is labeled Erica B, and we have a Brady in the middle and an Erica A. So I'm gonna write EB. Oh, first, this is the second floor. So I'll write second floor 2F, and then I'll go EB, and then I'll say front left, because that's what it is. Now for the builders, on the first floor we have split, so we have some 9-foot walls, some 8-foot walls. On the first floor I'll write whether it's 8-foot or 9-foot, but the second story is all 8-foot. So I'm not gonna mark that on there.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and they don't have to worry about it either.
Yeah.
So that's it, this wall is laid out. Oh, one more thing. On the inside here, there is a block that goes beside the jack stud for the window blocks.
Yeah.
They go there, but I never mark them out. It just goes without saying for us.
Well, I mean, there is some stuff that the builders of the walls have to know.
Yes.
You know, so you know, we're actually pretty meticulous about writing everything on the plates. But there is some things that just go without saying that you learn as you go.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is done.
Oh, good job, Isaiah. Good job. Wow. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.